Good evening and welcome to Sunday Tech Series, the fourth, hosted by School of Technology Management and Engineering, NMIMS Indore. Today's webinar is based on web development, and the name of this session is Web Development for Beginners. For the folks gathered with us, I'd like to tell you that from the most simple, static web pages to social media platforms and applications such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc., that we use via the internet on a daily basis have been built by web developers. This session will last for 2 hours. Participants are requested to write their names in the chat box when they're instructed to. All the instructions regarding completion and providing the e-certificates will be given at the end of today's session. I would like to extend my gratitude towards the Honorable Director, Dr. Prachi Gharpure, for her constant support and assistance. I would also like to thank our Associate Dean, Dr. Akhil Banglowala, for gracing this occasion with his presence. Now, without any delay, I'd like to hand over the charge to our experts. Our session experts for today are Ms. Jyotsna Latare from MBA Tech 3rd year and Ms. Akriti Jain from MBA Tech 2nd year, STME, Indore. Hope you all enjoy the session.
Thank you, Dhanesh. Good evening, everyone, and a big thank you to each one of you for joining this session. I am Akriti Jain.
And I am Jyotsna Latare. As you all know, we are here to learn the basics of web development, but before starting, we should be clear with what is web development. Web creation usually refers to the activities associated with web development on internet hosting sites. It includes web design, web content creation, client or server-side scripting, and network security configuration. Akriti, can you please tell me who actually is a web developer?
I would say a web developer is at heart an artist. Much like how a curious child takes pleasure in making toys by joining Lego blocks and then experiences similar joy in taking things apart, you see how they are made. A web developer's job is to use the basic building blocks like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to create something complex like a web page.
Sounds good. Or we can say that web developers are the physicians of the World Wide Web. When we talk about the World Wide Web, we are referring to websites and web applications.
Jyotsna, I have a doubt here. What's the difference between two?
See, a website is usually a simple page or a group of pages. The popular comic site XKCD, for example. However, modern websites are much more than that. Take Google Docs, for example. It has a nice interface that once opened looks very much like a desktop software, like Microsoft Office. Such complex websites are often termed as web applications. A web developer today is expected to know how to create and work with web applications. Having said that, most people use the terminology interchangeably, so don't get hung up on it.
Well, that pretty much made my vision clear. Now, let's have a look on why we should be a web developer or what is the future in this program. Employment of web developers is projected to grow much faster than the average of all occupations. Demand will be driven by the growing popularity of mobile devices and e-commerce. It is a great time to be a web developer as startups are flourishing, which results in above average salaries for all developers in most parts of the world.
Wow, this is giving me goosebumps. Do you know there are different types of web developers? First comes the front-end developers. They implement web page designs using HTML and CSS. They make sure that the website looks pretty on different devices and that the forms and buttons work properly. Then comes the back-end developers. They create the backbone of the web application. They write code logic that handles the user's input. For example, what should happen when you click on the sign up button after filling in a form? And a person who can do both, that is the front-end development and the back-end development, is called a full-stack web developer. But Akriti, other than this, what exactly one should master on to be a front-end developer?
Initially, just 3 things: HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, or we can call the 3 pillars of the web, which we'll be learning about over the next few minutes. Together, these 3 pillars can make every website work. HTML defines the content to be displayed. CSS tells a browser how to display that content, and JavaScript makes the content attractive.
So, a web developer should be well versed in these three technologies so that they can read other people's code and make changes to it. They can find and debug the bugs or the shortcomings in the existing code. A web developer might, at times, work on a new project or a new website from scratch, or may have to work on an existing website and make it better.
You mean a typical day in the life of a web developer involves fixing bugs, developing new features, and enhancing web pages, working with other developers to discuss ways to solve their problems. Now, let's have a look on what we'll be learning in few minutes. As we all know, no course is complete without a hands-on project. In this course, we'll be using HTML and CSS to build our first project, a personalized portfolio website. Once you have these under your belt, picking up other tools and languages is much easier. Pay extra attention to the basics, as a shaky foundation leads to lots of confusion later on. Shall we start, Jyotsna?
Yeah, sure. We'll start by getting a fish eye view on the web development part. We will talk about the tools we will use in this course. Then we will write more HTML and HTML elements and create the rough layout of our project website. We will also write some CSS to make our website more attractive.
So, are you guys ready to get started? Let's begin by setting up your developer environment. For this course, we'll need two tools that every web developer uses: a text editor to write code, and then a browser to see what we are building. While you can use any web browser or text editor, we recommend using Google Chrome and Notepad for this course.
Like any good craftsperson, it's important that you know and understand your tools. For that reason, let's take a brief look at what we have so far. Starting from Google Chrome, all of you must have been already using Google Chrome for browsing the web. A web browser allows us to view web pages. We will use Google Chrome to view the results after writing and making changes to our code. And a Notepad? Notepad is a generic text editor included with all versions of Microsoft Windows that allows us to create, open, and read plain text files. If the file contains special formatting or is not a plain text file, it cannot be read in Microsoft Notepad.
We'll now use the tools to do our first development work, creating our first text on a web page. We'll use HTML for this purpose. Before starting, let's quickly talk about HTML. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. In a nutshell, hypertext simply means text that can jump from one point to the another. If you have ever clicked a link on a page, you have used hypertext. Markup is simply a way to structure content so that we can distinguish between different blocks of text. Language means language. Computer languages are similar to real-world languages like English and German, just very strict in their syntax. HTML lets us structure our page and the data in it. Once we have a structure and data to work with, we can focus on style and functionality.
Okay, with that, let's jump into the structure of HTML. In all kinds of documents, structure is very important in helping readers to understand the messages you're trying to convey and to navigate around the document. So, in order to learn how to write web pages, it is very important to understand how to structure documents. Think about the stories you read in a newspaper. For each story, there will be a headline, some text, and possibly some images. If the article is a long piece, there may be subheadings that split the story into separate sections or quotes from those involved. Structure helps reader understand the stories in the newspaper.
Okay, let's have an example here. You can see the HTML code. Don't worry about what the code means yet. We start to look at it in more details further. Note that the HTML code is in blue and the text you see on screen is in black. And here is the output of the code. The HTML code in blue is made up of characters that live inside angle brackets. These are called HTML elements. Elements are usually made up of two tags, an opening tag and a closing tag. The closing tag has an extra forward slash in it. Each HTML element tells the browser something about the information that sits in between its opening and closing tag. As we have seen the basic structure of a HTML code, now let's try to understand meaning of all important tags. Tags act like containers. They tell you something about the information that lies between their opening and closing tags. A web browser using tags can differentiate between an HTML content and a basic content. There are two types of HTML tags, singular or paired tags. You need not to worry about what a paired and unpaired tag means, but just remember one thing, a paired tag has three main elements, tag opening, tag content, and tag closing.
Now, we request all of you to please open Notepad so that we can start writing. Web browser can display a lot of different documents. It's not just HTML. So, the very first thing we need to do is to tell the browser what type of file is this. And we do that by using the doc type declaration. This really isn't a HTML section, it's just a declaration. We are telling the browser exactly what to open here. So, let's go ahead and type doc type HTML and we put an exclamatory mark there and then HTML. It's simple. So the browser moves in top-down manner and will realize it's the HTML file. So the very first things that come after the doc type declaration is the HTML element. And we create that by typing HTML. And if you remember, this is the opening tag and it must have a closing tag. So we just put a slash here after HTML. HTML tag is more like a wrapper and everything in our document will go in between this HTML element. So the first real section that comes after that HTML element is called the head section. And as you guessed, we need an opening tag and we need a closing tag, which will make up the head element. This is also not a huge section that you need to be concerned about. After this, we are going to emit another element, which is the title element. This is the element which shows up in the browser. We'll see that once we render a page a little bit later. So here we'll write my first web page. You can write whatever you want. Hope you have typed this much. Now, let's move on to the body section. And this is where all of the action takes place. This is really the heart and soul of our web page. Anything between the opening body tag and the closing body tag will be shown inside the main browser window. After the body tag comes the heading tag. Words between opening H1 and closing H1 are the main heading. Let's call it Hello World. You can call it anything else. It's not necessary to write Hello World. Now, after that, we want to say that what this website is about. And we do that by using a P element. What the P element does is it creates a paragraph. And obviously it stands for a paragraph. So we are writing here, we are the students of NMIMS Indore. You can write anything else also. So now, let's go on to the next tag, which is going to be another heading tag because we are going to identify another section here. So we are going to use a head but in this case you make this H2. What this tag does is it makes the text a little bit smaller because this isn't the main section. It's just another section. And then after the H2, we are going to go ahead and create another paragraph. So you can just copy paste the first paragraph here. So as we have pasted it, that's all we need to do. Now let's go ahead and to render this page, we'll save it with the name test.html. Remember to save it with the extension HTML. Now as we have saved it, we'll minimize our notepad and open our file with Google Chrome. There you see we have our first web page rendered and you can see here H1 tag formatted with the largest text and then here's the paragraph. As you can see it made it just a regular size. Then we have created our second header which is right up here. You can see it's a little bit smaller than the text up there. And of course you can see the title that we added, my first web page. So this is our very first web page. Now again let's move on to our notepad. Now, let's see.
We'll wait here for 30 seconds for you all to write the code.
After this, we will see more about the heading tags. Here, we have 6 types of heading tags. That is H1, H2, H3, H4 and H5 and H6 namely. And as you can guess, H1 have the largest font size for the main heading and H6 have the smallest among the 6 text. Now, if you have typed this much, let's save this file. After saving this file, we will switch on to our browser. You can write anything else also in the heading. Now, we'll save our notepad file and move on to our browser and see our new output. As you can see, H1 is having the largest font size and the size has decreased subsequently. Hope you have got your results too. And now we have a 1-minute poll for you all. So we request you all to please fill the poll. You will have 1 minute to complete the poll. The poll will get displayed on your screen. And the question in the poll is, the title element must be declared inside. The first option is the head element and the second option is the body element. And you can click on your answer, and to submit your answer, you just have to click on the submit button. Remember to submit it before the time.
You have 30 seconds. We can see a good response from you all.
You have 10 seconds left.
So with this, we are done with our first poll. We can see most of you have answered it correctly. Now we are going to explore many more HTML tags. This is the barebone side, but we hope you get the idea how the structure works in HTML. If you can understand this, you are well on your way in understanding HTML. Now we are going to look at adding line breaks, comments, spaces to our HTML code. We'll use the same HTML file and we'll notice the changes. So let's go ahead and open our notepad again. What we want you to do is go ahead and hit enter 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And that should give us the space between our sections. So let's save it and see our output.
Let's reopen this up and you will notice that nothing has happened. We didn't get our spaces. Now let's go back into here and open our notepad file. We actually have to identify line breaks here with our HTML code. Otherwise, it is as if nothing happened. Let's fix this. We do that by using the BR tag. We will add 3 line breaks here. The first BR tag, the second BR tag, and the third BR tag. So now let's go ahead and save this file again. After saving this file, we'll go back to our page. You will see we have got our line breaks.
Jyotsna, I can see there are some questions popping out in the chat box. So let's fix it. And the most frequent question is, what is the difference between HTML tags and HTML elements? So HTML tags communicate to the browser to render text. When the elements are enclosed or brackets, they form HTML tags. Most of the time, tags come in a pair and surround content. So with this, we are done with this. Now let's understand about the BR tag. BR tag is actually referred as an empty element. An empty element does not need a closing tag. We can just put these in here and not have to close them. The reason is we are not putting anything between this, unlike T tags or any other tags we have used so far. We are just saying, hey, do a line break. Okay. Now we'll focus on how to add comment. Comment section is used to keep notes in our HTML code. That is, we want notes for our code, but do not want it to be displayed on our web page.
In order to do that, We use the opening angular bracket, then an exclamatory mark, and then two hyphens. And here we can put whatever we want. You can also put whatever you want to see your comment. And we close it by two hyphens and the closing angular bracket. Now, let's save this file and check our output on the browser window. Oh, did you see the comment didn't show up? So this is the way to write comments in HTML. After that, now let's learn how to add spaces within the text. Switching to our notepad, we'll first try by adding a bunch of spaces. It's going to happen. But now let's go ahead and see what happens. We'll just add some spaces here. Now switching to our browser window, we'll try to see our output. You can see the browser didn't recognize the extra spaces. So in order to accomplish that, we need something different. We need to put in ampersand NBSP. I repeat, ampersand NBSP. And you can stack as many of these as you like. We are going to go with 4 extra spaces. So you just copy and paste it 4 more times. Now, if you have put it 4 more times, we will save it. Just save your notepad file after adding ampersand NBSP and switch to your main browser window. So, did you see the spaces here? So with this, we are over with our spaces.
So Jyotsna, should we start with our second program?
Yeah, sure.
Now we'll be learning about the list. Lists are pretty much an everyday part of life, right? We are constantly putting lists together. You think of a recipe, you have to have a list of ingredients. If you go to a grocery store, you have to have a list of items you'll be buying. And if you look at it virtually, every web page, they will always have some sort of list, whether that's a menu or just a bullet. HTML provides two main ways to do lists, ordered list and unordered list. So an unordered list is created with a UL tag and an ordered list is created with the OL tag. An ordered list is kind of a default thing people use when they're designing websites. We would say unordered lists are used to a lesser extent, but we'll look at both of these. The element which is common to both ordered and unordered lists is the li element. The li element is actually the list item and we'll show you how to use it.
Now, let's get back to our standard HTML structure and start coding for our lists. We will just pause here for 1 minute so you can type the basic structure of HTML. Just type the basic structure, then we will move forward.
Hope you all are typing. And don't forget to save your file with the extension .html.
Now, if you have typed the structure, we will go ahead, and as you all know, everything goes within the body tag. Now, let's begin with the unordered list and create our UL tag. Now, let's close our UL tag. Now, we have got to get our unordered list elements. And for that, we'll create our first li tag. Remember this. This is where our actual list element goes. Imagine we are creating a list of players in a cricket team. The first list name that we will put here is Harry. We will just close the li tag and we can go ahead now and just go ahead and copy paste that. And we have to create another list element after this. You can just copy paste the first tag.
1 second, Jyotsna. We have a doubt from Gurchaban. He is saying that where is the doc type HTML. Gurchaban, I request you to please look at here. We have already mentioned the doc type HTML. So yeah, let's continue.
Now we will create other allied elements. And for that, we will just copy and paste the ally tags, the opening ally tag and the closing ally tag. And in the second element, we will just put Leo. And just name the third one as Jack. And the last one as Otis. This is nice and great. So now we have got our list elements that we want to get displayed on our web page. Now let's go ahead and save this notepad file by pressing Ctrl S. Now we render this web page. As you can see, we have got a nice list displayed here.
Later on, when we get to CSS tutorial, we will actually use this HTML unordered list and create a very fancy menu. We'll use CSS to style each one of these list elements and tags and create a nice hover menus and add colors and all sorts of things. But for now, you need to understand how HTML works at base.
Now, yes. Now for an ordered list, we just need to do a small change. In place of UL, we'll write OL. And that's it. We'll just save it after making the changes and see the changes in our web page. There you see the difference. This is why this is called an ordered list, because we have numbers here. That's really the only difference. An ordered list creates bullets and this one creates numbers. It's really what you prefer. Now, after this, we have again a doubt question here. And the question is, how many tags can be used to separate a section of text? So there are 3 tags which are used to separate the text. First is the BR tag. Usually BR tag is used to separate the line of text. It breaks the current line and conveys the flow of the next line. And after that, we have P tag. The P tag contains the text in the form of a new paragraph. And at last, we have the block quote tag. It is used to define a large quoted section. If you have a large quotation, then you can put the entire text within the block quote tags.
We again
have a poll for you all. It will also be a 1-minute poll. And as we can see, the question is, which of the following HTML element is not valid? The first option is H1. Second one is
H8. Third is H4.
The third option is H4 and the fourth option is H5. You have less than 30 seconds left. The poll is over now and the answer is H8.
So, with this, we are done with one more section of HTML. Now we're going to look at adding links to our web pages. What would a web page be like without links, right? Navigation is a key consideration into designing our websites. And so, we'll begin with adding links to our web page. Now there are 2 ways to add links. First is to link to an outside page and second is to link a section within our web page. But for today, we'll only learn how to link to other pages. Links are added by the anchor element, and within the anchor element is an attribute called href, which tells the anchor element where the destination is for the link. The destination can be a web page on the same site or it can link to an outside website. So, Jyotsna, should we start coding?
Yes, Akriti, I can't wait. So let's get back to our basic structure in the notepad. We'll pause here for you all to open the notepad and write the basic structure.
I request all of you to type in here. Miss Shivani, the answer for the poll is H8. As we have seen, there are only 6 headings, so the answer is 8. H8.
Now, if you're done with the structure, let's first create a key element for paragraph. We create the P element for paragraph because we need to add some text and sentences inside and around our link. We will embed everything within that, and now we will add another anchor tag. Within the opening A, now comes the href attribute. We're going to press equals to sign, then the quotation, and here is where we are going to put our outside URL link that we want in our web page to be displayed. In this case, we are just going to link our college YouTube channel here. So we'll go ahead and just copy paste that in here. So we'll just put the link here. And we have to create a closing anchor tag too. We can add some text before closing the P tag, and that text will become the link. So this does not get actually displayed. What will be displayed is the link, is the text we have put inside the paragraph tag. Now you guys know the drill. So save this up and open your browser window. Now in your browser, you can see the link is working properly. Hope you have also put a link on your web page. After the links, now comes the classes and IDs. So classes and IDs are just a way to name our tags. Classes are used to group a bunch of tags by assigning them the same name. And IDs are unique, just like the roll numbers of students are unique. No two tags can have the same ID.
Okay, Jyotsna, we'll now learn how to add images to our web page, because images are something which instantly makes our web page stand out.
Yeah, Kriti, you're right. So let's get into the learning process. Switching to Notepad.
We want you to create a folder on your desktop and put in there the image as well as your HTML.
Now we want you to create a new folder on your desktop, and in there we put the image. And that way we don't have to worry about specifying the location for the image. It will be automatically rendered when we add it into our HTML code. If you want to add another image to your web page, you will have to add the full address of the image in your code. As we have made the folder already, now just move to our Notepad. Now we will wait here for 1 minute so that you can also make the folder. Now, following the same structure, we'll create a header and call it NM logo. Now let's create a paragraph tag here to encapsulate everything. Now for an image, we use the img tag. And the attribute that we will specify here is source. And source equals to the name of the image. So this is all we have to do. for adding an image to our web page. Now let's hit the save button and move to our browser window. As you can see, we have our image here now.
With this, we are done with our HTML section. Congratulations to all of us. We have successfully learned the basic stacks of HTML. Now it's time to focus on CSS. Let's start with our first question. What is CSS? CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet. In a naive way, we have to define CSS. We would say if HTML is the structure of the house, then CSS is how it looks and how it feels. For example, it sets that what will be the color of the house, what will be the size and shape. Let's break this acronym and see what CSS stands for. It stands for Cascading Style Sheets. Basically, cascading means falling of styles, volume of styles. You won't understand anything right now what this cascading means. What do you mean by volume of sheets? But we'll make sure by the end of this session to make everything clear. Style here refers to styling your website, your web page. And sheets refers to writing your style in different documents, that is in different sheets.
Now, after hearing the explanation of CSS, let's get started with the basic structure of CSS. Basically, there is one thing called selector. We will check out that what is this and what are the property and value. What is on your screen is the basic structure of CSS. This is what you are going to use in this session. A selector selects any element you want to target. For example, if you want to target, let's suppose, a paragraph tag, you will write P in place of the selector. If you don't understand this right now, it's okay. Keys or properties are properties like color, font size, background, width, height, etc., which you want to style. Values are values associated with these properties. Like for the property color, yellow could be a value.
Now with this, we hope you are clear with the basic structure of CSS. Coming towards the way to write CSS, there are three ways to write a CSS code. There's inline CSS, internal CSS, and external CSS. This is the priority order of the three. You would not understand the priority right now, but we'll make sure that after we explain you the three ways to write CSS, it is clear to you all. Let's see them in the notepad itself. For that, we will use our previous HTML file which we had made for list. We request all of you to open the list structure we have created. So here you can see the basic structure of list we created. Now, for example, you want to make the color of the text inside the li tag red. You will have to write after this li style is equal to color, then a colon. We are putting it here red. You can choose any color. We'll end this with a semicolon. Now, let's save this file. Here the style attribute shows that we have applied inline CSS and color is a property and red is the value of our property color. The property and value are separated by colon and then a semicolon is applied after them. Now let's see how our web page has changed.
Now, as you can see, the text we had written inside the li tag is appearing red. So this is the way to write inline CSS.
Jyotsna, what if I want the text inside the h1 tag also appear in red?
For that Akriti, we'll have again to write the same thing inside the h1 tag. And this is one of the drawbacks of inline CSS, that it creates redundancy. But this redundancy is removed in internal CSS.
So why to wait? Let's show our attendees how to write internal CSS.
Yeah, sure.
Hope you all are typing with us. For writing internal CSS, we have to write a tag style inside the head tag. You can see over here. With the help of style tag, we can apply styles within the HTML file. Inside the opening and closing style tag, we'll edit with our CSS code. We'll write h1, li, then we'll open our curly braces. Here we'll write color is equal to red, and then we'll end this by a semicolon. Now we'll save our file and see our output. Wow,
There may be some typing mistake. Sorry for that.
yeah, it's okay. Wow, that's great. I can see all the elements of the list are appearing red color. And also the text which was inside h1 tag is also appearing in red. So the styling we wrote for h1 and li tag are here. Hope you all got this. Now we'll switch to our notepad. Now if we want the list element should have yellow color and h1 tag should have red, then you can simply edit this. Now we'll write a new rule for li tag by writing li as the selector and giving value yellow to the property color. We'll just write li color colon yellow and we'll end this by a semicolon. So let's save this and we'll wait here 30 seconds for you all to type up to here. Hope you all are keeping up with us. These are just small things we can make our web page stand out.
If
Yeah.
you don't want the color to be yellow, you can put any other color too, like blue.
So yeah, let's save this and see our output in our browser.
You can see the new results here now. This is the way to write internal CSS. Now moving next, for writing the external CSS, you will just need to create a new notepad file.
We
Now,
request
please-
all of you to please create a new notepad file and name it as new CSS. And remember, when writing external CSS, you need to save the same file with the extension .css. So new CSS.css. Hope you all have created the new CSS file. We'll wait here for 30 seconds more.
Now, if you have saved the file correctly, we'll move forward. Remember, the basic structure for writing external CSS will be same as the internal CSS.
Now for writing external CSS, we'll do h1, li. Now we'll edit our text size. So for this we use the attribute font size. And we'll set the size to 50 pixels. And here's one more thing.
You can also increase or decrease the.
We need to
You can
add
also increase and decrease.
we have a small thing to mention, that is comments. And if you want to add comments in CSS, there are two ways to do so. For single line comment, we use two forward slashes, and multi-line we use slash then a star. And then we'll close it by a star and a slash. Now we'll
If
save
you
this
want,
file.
you can increase or decrease the font size too.
Now we'll save this file and see the results. We need to link our CSS to HTML file. So we'll switch to our HTML file. And for linking, we'll use the link tag. We'll just type in link rel is equal to style sheet, and then the HRF attribute, and we'll link this by adding the name of the file, that is new css.css, and we'll close this. As you can see, the size of the text has increased. If you want to increase or decrease the size of text, you can absolutely do that by increasing or decreasing the pixel values in the style sheet.
Now, Akriti, do you remember we had talked about the priority order?
Yeah, Jyotsna, I do remember, and I think it's time to show that what it actually means.
So, just suppose there's a situation you provide yellow color to the paragraph tag in inline CSS and blue in the internal CSS and green in the external CSS. So, what should be the color of the text which is inside your p tag? It must be confusing for you all, na? So, it is decided by the priority order of CSS.
As you can see, inline is having more priority than internal and external. It implies the color assigned in the inline CSS will be displayed, and between internal and external, the value assigned in the internal CSS will be displayed.
Now, hope you all are clear with the ways to write CSS. Now, moving forward, as you can see, we have learned the different ways to write CSS. Now, there are three types of selectors. The first is element selector, which selects the element. Then comes the ID selector, which selects the IDs. And then there is classes selector, which selects the classes.
In element selector, you just have to write the names of the tags you want to style and then style them. As you can see, in ID selector, you just have to put a hash before the name of the selector. You can see its example here. In class selector, you have to write dot before the name of the class.
If you want to select the classes of a particular tag, you can write the name of the tag with dot in the name of before the name of the class. You can see the example here. Here it will not select all the classes with the name para, but only the class which are inside para tag and having the name para.
This is the priority order of the selectors. ID selector will have the highest priority, then class selector, and then the element selector.
It's totally alright if you don't understand the priorities of these selectors right now. You'll start to understand this once you get starting with the HTML and CSS more.
So let's start coding and move to our CSS file. Now we'll do some more styling to our web page. Now we'll create a body tag, and inside it, we'll change the background of our web page. For that, we only need to write background -color colon, and now we'll choose the blue color. Hope you all are writing with us. If you have any doubt, please feel free to write in the chat box. We are also changing the font style and making it to cursive. Now let's save this.
Remember, it's font family, not a font size or font style. For background color, blue. For font family, cursive.
So here is our output. You can see that the background has changed to the blue color and our font is cursive now. We hope all of you have must gotten the idea. With this, we have a poll for you all. We request all of you to please answer the poll. So the question is, which HTML attribute is used to define inline CSS styles? The option is CSS, style, sheet, and type. We request all of you to please answer the poll. You have 35 seconds. Fifteen seconds to go. And the time is up. The answer for the poll is style. As we have done a lot of styling, you all must have gotten an idea that how do we style our CSS HTML files.
Now, did you all see when we wanted to change our background font or our font color? We mentioned the name of the colors blue, yellow, and red, etc. But what when we want the different shades of color for our background font? We can't write the names of every shade we want, so there are different coloring schemes and coloring codes to assign in HTML and CSS.
The two most popular schemes are RGB and hex. RGB takes three parameters. R corresponds to red, G corresponds to green, and B corresponds to blue. Value of each parameter may vary from 0 to 255.
Now comes the hex code. Hex code starts with hash and comprises of 6 hexadecimal numbers, which is further divided into 3 sets. Sets basically corresponds to red, green, and blue respectively. A single set value can vary from 00 to FF.
Now with this, I think we have gained enough knowledge of basics of HTML and CSS. And now I think this is the time we should look forward to our project.
I was also thinking the same, Akriti. So are you guys ready to head on to our project? For the project, we have a one-page student portfolio, which we have made purely with HTML and CSS.
Now it's time to switch to our project. And
so this is the project we have made. Here we have put a logo for the portfolio, and then we have the image of the student. And we have also attached a link to the student's image. As you can see, when we click on the image, when we land onto the LinkedIn page. You can put any other link if you want. And here is a short intro about the student. For the time being, we have put just the name XYZ. Afterwards, you will be able to put your name here. And here is a short brief about the student. Then here we have included the skills of the students. You can write your skills. Then here is academics part. Then here is the project work done by the students. We have also inserted the project images here with a hover effect. And when we click onto the project images, as you can see, we land onto the GitHub page. You can also provide any other link here if you want.
So, this must have given you the idea how your portfolio will look like. Now, let's move on to our source code. You all have got some files over your mail. Now we request all of you to please open two files among them, namely Test Portfolio and Test CSS. We are waiting for you all to open the files. If you have not downloaded the files yet, we request all of you to download the two files, Test Portfolio and Test CSS. Because now we are going to make your portfolio.
Remember, after downloading the files, when you open these files, you have to open the files with Notepad only. We'll wait here for you to open those files.
You all must be confused with what is written here, but don't worry. This is just the basics we have learned so far. But still we'll explain.
As one of you asked that is it made purely out of HTML and CSS? Yes, it is made purely out of HTML and CSS.
Nikita Agrawal is asking, okay, which file do we have to download? Miss Nikita, you have to download Test Portfolio and Test CSS. Please check the attachments you got over your mails.
You all have also to download the images you are provided with this. And remember to save all of them in the same folder.
Yes. And for the time being, please open these two files, Test Portfolio and Test CSS.
As you can see, this is the HTML file we have made, and this is the CSS file we have made.
So that, Jyotsna, should we start?
Yeah, I hope that all of you have opened the files. Now we will start with the project code.
Yeah, let's dive into it and see what everything means. As you can see, this is the part we have put our portfolio logo, the image. Then this is the part where we have put our student image. You can put your image. We request all of you to please put your own image. We are waiting here.
And remember, if you are putting your own image to save, please remember to save your image in the same folder in which the file is saved. Otherwise, you will have some problems. And put the name of your image here with the correct extension. If it is PNG file, save it with .png. If it is JPG file, save it with .png. And be clear about the dimensions of the image, and it should be a clear image, otherwise there will be some problems in your website. Akriti, I think we should move forward.
Yeah, Jyotsna.
As you can see here, it is written, put your name here. You can put your name here, and for the time being, I'm just putting my name.
Sure, Jyotsna. Moving next, here inside the anchor tag, we have provided the link to LinkedIn account. You can put link of your any account. It can be LinkedIn account, Twitter account, or Facebook account. You can link whatever you like. And inside the intro section of the student, we have
I'm just writing an engineering student.
yeah.
And in the about me section, you have to write something about you. And I will write something about me.
We hope all of you are typing with us and creating your own portfolio. If you have any doubt, please feel free to ask in the chat box.
Now we hope you're done with the about me section.
Next section in our portfolio is the skill section. We have created a list of skills. We request all of you to please put your own skills. For the time being, we are putting Jyotsna's skill, as she is a tech enthusiast. We love data analysis.
I have got a doubt question here. Someone is saying that the file is opening directly onto the Chrome. So you just right click on the file and then choose the option to open with Notepad. Right click on the file, then choose the option open with Notepad. Then I'll put as my second skill C++. Then C.
I can see, Jyotsna, you know so much.
Thank you. And how can I forget HTML?
Yeah, sure.
And I also saw a question that what is the use of this div tag? Div tag is nothing but it's just providing us a section to part our section. It's like we can name our class here. You can see we have just named it and easily then we have coded our CSS file. We don't need to worry about the div part here.
Div is,
You can see it later on. No. Then moving on next, we have academics part. For the time being, I'm just putting my academic details here and you will have to put yours.
we hope all of you are typing with us and creating your own portfolio. Oh, I can see, Jyotsna, that's a lot of GPA.
Thank you, Akriti.
3.9 out of 4. Now let's explore more of your marks.
Okay.
We request all of you to please put your details and type with us. We are
You can
keeping it.
also write your school's name and college name here before your class.
Yeah, we are keeping it slow so that you can cope up with us. Oh my God, Swapna. 10 on 10. Nice, huh?
Thanks. Now, with the academics part, we are moving on to the projects part. So, this is the section for project. I have just written technical projects done by me are shown below. You can write whatever you want. And this is the place we have provided the link to GitHub. You can provide any other link where your source code lies for the projects you have done. And this is showing the position of the image. If you want to position it anywhere else, you can change the pixels according to your web page. And here is the name of the image we have provided. See? We have saved it with the extension .png. And then here's a short description about the project. You can write description of your own project and you can save your project's image here. But be sure that you save the image in the same folder. Otherwise, you will have to provide the full path of the image.
We'll wait here so that you can do the meet.
And you see this position absolute thing, it is a way to position your images and your section in CSS. And here we have used inline CSS. See? All this is inline CSS.
Miss Sejal is having a doubt that she has not received the mail. We'll make sure, Sejal, that you receive the mail and continue with your portfolio. We'll also upload this webinar on YouTube. So if you have missed anything, you can check that out on YouTube. Is it all right, Miss Sejal and everyone else?
This is another image, the calculator's image we have put here. And see, this is the class name. And class name for all our project images. This one. And this is the class name for our text, the description for our project. And I will again explain that this is the position for positioning your image and project description. You can change it according to your web page. You may increase it or you may decrease it.
We again have a doubt with Devanshi Bansal. She's telling that we can use many more tags. Yeah, Devanshi, there are so many options and you can use whatever you like or whatever you are comfortable with. See, there are lots of options to do styling and coding. We are
We have
just
just
covering
tried
the
to keep it
basics.
simple.
Yeah, we are just covering the basics. We
And
hope
if
all
we
of you
move
have.
on to the CSS page, you can see I'll explain some of the things here. This is the background color. It's no need to provide the background color as we have provided the background image. But if you want, in place of background image, you want to place the background color, you can do this. And this is the color code. You can put any other color code too, whichever color you want. And this background repeat, what it does is, it does not repeat our background image. And the background image fixed keeps our background image fixed in the web page when we scroll down. And this is the URL or the name of the image, background image we have provided. And this is the font size, font color, white. We have kept it just white. And we have kept the font family as Lucida Console. And this is the
Just
part for our logo.
Jyotsna, I would like to stop here for a minute.
Yes.
Mr. Manoj is saying that he's not attending the session via registration. Manoj, you need not have to worry about the files. We'll provide this to you. Please put your email in the chat box. We'll mail all of the files to you. And anyone of you have any doubt, please feel free to ask in the chat box.
I can see one more doubt here. What is the difference between inline, internal, and external CSS? So I will just show you how to write inline, internal, and external CSS. These are just the ways to write CSS. You can write whatever you in the way whatever you want or whichever you feel comfortable with. So I'll show you. This is the way to write inline CSS.
The Sachal,
Then-
please pay attention. We are mentioning.
And here we have not used the internal CSS, so you can refer to it later on. And this is the whole file where we have done the external CSS. And also we have linked our file here. See, test css.css. This is test CSS. We have linked this file with our HTML file.
Miss Nikita will provide you with all the files. Thank you, Nikita, for sharing your mail. We'll try to get in touch with you.
And did you see the Hoa effect we had on our images? So to put the Hoa effect, we have coded it like this. You just have to mention the name of the ID or the selector. Then you have to put a colon, then the hover keyword, and then you can set the opacity of the image. So it will change the opacity of the image when you hover onto the image. I will show you the Hoa effect here if you have not seen. See? Can you see it? Then this is the styling we done for the intro. Again, we have positioned is at absolute, and the top position we have mentioned it's 450 pixels. And for putting it in on the right part of the web page, we have just mentioned 50 pixels. If you want, you can change the pixels according to you. And then for the borders, we have border bottom style solid, and then the color, you can see the color code. And we have provided the width of the border, 2 pixels. You can increase or decrease it in your way. Then we have the font size, 20 pixels for the paragraph and li tags. And see, we have used the cursive here, font family cursive, for making the text cursive.
Thank you, Monica. We'll get in touch with you.
And here is our class pimage. We have used dot pimage to use it as a selector. See, this is a class selector. Then again, position absolute. For positioning it onto the left, we have used 300 pixels, and we have set the width 350 pixels, height 250 pixels, and we have given the padding 10 pixels. And then to put the text on the right, we have provided div.right and provided right pixels as 100 pixel and provided the width to 50% of the division. And then the same thing we have done here, we have just changed the left and right alignment. So for the right alignment, we have put right equals to 100 pixel, and for aligning it to the left, we have put left equals to 100 pixels.
Ms. Bharti, in academic details, you have to write your details like what was your percentage in 12th or 12th, 10th or 12th, or what you are pursuing. You can write whatever you like. You have just mentioned Jyotsna's detail.
I will show you here.
Yeah, Jyotsna, please.
Yeah. Priya Soni, please, I can't annotate it right now.
Yeah, please don't request to annote. We'll not allow to annote anyone.
Let me see where the academic details. Yeah. So here you can put your details like your 12th, 10 percentage, your school name, your college name, or any other academic details you want to share, which you feel is important to be displayed on your portfolio.
Yeah.
Also, you can add your own section here. You just have to copy and paste it here, and then you can add one more section. But you will have to edit the positioning here if you do so. Okay. And for your knowledge, there are 4 types of positioning method. Here is a relative, and also we have used absolute, but there are 2 more. You will learn it later, but
For the
okay.
time being, I think Jyotsna, that's enough explanation for the project.
Okay, I feel so.
Yeah.
So we'll just save our file. This one too, and this one too.
Yeah.
Now we will try to minimize our file. 1 second.
And we'll
I
see
will
our
minimize
final
it.
project.
I will refresh it, and as you can see, the changes we have done here. Here my name is getting displayed, my intro, and then a short brief about me, my skills, then the academic details, then the project done by me.
Hope you all are able to
You
make
can edit it
portfolio.
as you like.
Yeah, you can make it your own way.
So you might not be able to understand everything written here, but don't worry, as it is not possible to learn and understand everything in one go. You can just search more about stylings in CSS on various platforms. The links to some websites which you can refer to will be provided to you in the chat box later on. And not only CSS, you can find more about HTML and HTML tags too in these websites. So with this, we have completed a code for our portfolio and also seen our output. Did you see yours?
Hope you were also able to make your portfolio.
So now we have come to the end of the session here.
This is Jyotsna Latare and Akriti Jain signing off. Thank you so much, everyone.
Hello everyone. That was a great session, Akriti and Jyotsna. I hope you all enjoyed it and successfully created your portfolio website. I would like to take this opportunity on behalf of STME NMIMS Indore to thank each one of you present here today. We started off with a very small thought of sharing some knowledge that our students at STME have with students from all around the world with an initiative of organizing technical webinars on every Sunday. Little did we know that Sunday Tech series would be so successful with over 500 plus registrations in each webinar from not just India but even from countries like USA, UAE and South Africa. Starting with our first webinar called My First Project in Java was successfully conducted by Isha Chauhan and Murtaza Sultan, both from MBA Tech third year with faculty mentor Mr. Ankur Rathmele, in which, with the basic knowledge of Java, the participants created their first project, which was a number guessing name. The second webinar was Getting Started with Python, conducted by Dhane Turakia from MBA Tech 4th year and Saksham Mehta from MBA Tech 3rd year, in which the participants created a tic-tac-toe game. Coming to the third webinar, Programming with C, conducted by Harshal Kulkarni and Suryansh Sharma, in which the participants made a very interesting game called Minesweeper with the help of basics of C. To make this webinar reach the height that it has, we would like to thank Shri Amrish Bhai Patel, Honorable Chancellor, SVKM's NMIMS, Dr. Ramesh Bhatt, Honorable Vice Chancellor, SVKM's NMIMS, Dr. Sharad Maheskar, Pro Vice Chancellor, SVKM's NMIMS, Shri Akhilesh Ji Rathi, Mentor, NMIMS Indore Campus, and our Honorable Director, Dr. Prachi Gharpure, for always supporting us. Big thanks to our Associate Dean and Convener for this series, Dr. Akhil Banglowala, for always having our back. I would also like to thank our faculty team for this series, Dr. Nidhi Asthana, Dr. Munendra Jain, Dr. Vikas Khare, and Mr. Gaurav Paliwal for guiding us in each and every step of the way. Last but not the least, a big round of applause for the efforts by the student team of Sunday Tech series, Isha Chauhan, Suyesh Kaul, Harshal Kulkarni, Ashi Patni, Suryansh Sharma, and Utpal Agarwal. Now with this, we conclude our season 1 of Sunday Tech series. But don't worry, taking the suggestions and feedback from our past attendees, we'll be back with the advanced session on Java, Python, C, and web development. Not just this, stay tuned for many more webinars on various interesting topics. Thanks again. Over to you, Suryansh.
Thank you. I would like to thank Sejal for handling the logistics of Sunday Tech series so well. I request all the attendees to start writing their full names in the chat box for certificate verification and fill the quiz and feedback form which has been shared with you in the chat box. You will be receiving the e-certificates within 3 to 4 working days. Also, we request everyone to keep checking their mails on regular basis as we will soon announce our season 2. The session is open for another 10 minutes, so you can write your name in the chat box and fill the quiz and feedback form. Once again, I would like to inform you all that you will be receiving the e-certificates within 3 to 4 working days only when you complete the quiz and fill the feedback form. Thank you and have a great day ahead.